if you offer an actor one good role, they get pretty excited. So if you offer them two, you pretty much can get them to do whatever you want. So the twins and the even just the technical challenge of figuring out how to do that well was pretty tempting. But also when I read the script, it was so funny. I laughed so much, and then on top of that, it was very intelligent. It was such an unusual blend of worlds, and it straddled so many different worlds of both ideas and parts of the culture. I just thought it was really rich, and I liked what it was about. So, I knew it would be something different than I've done, which is one of the first and main things I always look for. It's the same for me always with characters. Sometimes you look for the physical skin, you look for the clothes and the look and the voice, and obviously, you look to the script for guidance into sort of what the interior life is. Tim's script was very thick with what these characters believe philosophically about life. So it was very rich. You didn't have to invent a lot. It was more. I thought the challenge was almost more about. It wasn't so much about each of them individually as it was figuring out the ways they're different were pretty apparent. But the ways that they're the same was what was really interesting to me. For me, to be honest, I think imagination and invention is more often my source pool than my own life. I always like it when I feel a director or knows where they are. I mean, it's like having a driver who you can tell knows where they're going. You know what I mean? It gives you a sense of confidence. It makes it personal. And I prefer it. I think that's the most enjoyable way to work. It's always challenging to make a movie independently in the sense that you go through more than you do if you just sign up as an actor on a film. You have to figure out a way to get somebody to back it, a company or a person, and you're working. In some ways, you're working with less of a certain sense of how you're going to get that movie out and find the audience for it. So it's nervier in a business sense, but then there are pleasures with it too. You get to create your own team, you get to make it your way, and you get to let it be personal and eclectic in ways that are more difficult with sort of big studio fare. And I do think that there's more room for originality. I think that the originality of this film, Tim's very unique vision of these worlds, is difficult to get sort of people who think very formulaically in some ways to run. It's kind of a core tenet of the movie that both of these guys are pretty brilliant. Like their mother says that Brady's even smarter than Bill, or has a higher IQ, and I think I like it because having roots in the South myself, Southern stereotypes can be funny and fun, but I always like it when there's more layers to a character than even their initial presentation, and I think Brady is certainly like that. It's not even just that he's smart; it's that he actually has a philosophy of life himself, and that's what's beautiful about Tim's script. Is Tim is rooted in classical philosophy, and he rooted the movie in the themes of classical philosophy, and so Brady really is that Dionysian. It's not just that he's reckless; he's very committed to a very free and joyful kind of way of living, and I think all the characters sort of are like that. I think Kerry Russell's character is more than meets the eye. Each of the characters I think has unexpected colors in them. Every day, a lot of us probably have a conversation in our heads where we act out both sides of it. You imagine an argument that you're about to have, or you walk away from a conversation wishing you had said something different, and and you sort of you script both sides if you think about it. I think people do that all the time, and so I think I just had to take that to the next level, which is kind of imagine both sides of the conversation and it's almost like script it out in my head, but then figure out how to. We had to figure out technically how to do one, and then let me be able to be hearing that when I was doing the other. So it was some neat tricks. We figured out some neat tricks to make it feel improvisational and messy. You know, to me the main thing was I didn't want it to fall into a sensation for the audience that it was a trick because the dialogue was going like ping pong ping, you know, back and forth in a way that made it very obvious that these characters that it might not be a person in the same space. And I think, you know, most people are having a conversation, you know, they interrupt each other, they overlap each other, they react to each other physically and in ways that make you know they're in the same space. And so we wanted to try to create that sensation. And that to me was the art of it, you know.